creating wealthier women and multifamily real estate to give to humanity without limits. Welcome to Ladies Night with Steph Doblosky.
Today, I couldn't be any more excited to introduce our special guest, Migena Agaraj. And she is a powerhouse when it comes to networking. We're going to learn so much about networking and connecting with people. And even in this week, I told her, I said, you know what, I have so much to learn about relationships from you. And I meant every single word of that. Migena, she is an entrepreneur, a real estate consultant for the past 10 plus years. And she is an author of Powerful Immigrants, and she is also a powerful immigrant herself from Albania, but also she is in the works of authoring other books. So we're looking forward to having her back again so we can hear all about those books. So speak from your heart about networking and just pour out.
I love it. I did not pay her to make this introduction. It's one of my passions, and the more I connect with people, the more I realize there's nothing I love the most. So how did it begin? We don't learn about ourselves when we are with ourselves. We learn about ourselves when we are with others. And I believe for me, if I could remember, like the first feeling of being in a networking space was when I was a project manager. I was managing a building in Midtown Manhattan. I had just switched jobs from Goldman Sachs into Hearst Towers. And I hear of this event. Someone tells me, hey, are you attending this event? There are 1,000 people from the real estate industry attending. And I was like, no, I don't know about this event. When is it? Oh, it's 5 p.m. What's the ticket? It's $500 to get in, but there are no tickets. At that same time, I was doing a building inspection with a gentleman I met that day. He runs a super successful inspections company for Class A commercial buildings. So pretty much he's never worked for someone else. He worked for himself. And then I'm looking at him and I'm looking at myself. This is second week on the job. I'm like, David, do you want to go to a networking event? He's like, but you don't even have a ticket for yourself. I said, I'll figure it out. But if I were to find you a ticket, are you willing to go? Because I want you to go there, meet with people. I really introduce you to people. So I laid it out for him. Meanwhile, I have no tickets. I don't even have one for myself. I started making some phone calls. Then I found a ticket, bought it for $500. But now, because I gave my word to this other gentleman, it was no longer about me. It was about this other person that I wanted to also experience a big networking event in New York City. And I wanted him to know the people that I thought were going to be there so he could maximize on his business. 2 hours later, I end up with 6 tickets. So this company called Durst Organization, I'm sure you guys know, had bought a table, but some of the people weren't attended. So a good friend of mine and I were texting. I'm like, hey, do you have an extra ticket? He said, I have 6. I'm like, oh my God. So I end up with a ticket that I bought, 6 more, called David, called 5 other people, gifted all the tickets. Guys, girls, when you show up at the front desk, just say Stephanie's name, Brooke's name, Maria's name, because we had to say the names that the tickets were under. They're like, they don't know what to do. They're like, oh my God, how do we pay you back? And I pick you up from the building. I'm like, I'll meet you there. Just go. Meanwhile, I have no idea who's going to be there myself, other than I know it's going to be a lot of people. I finish my shift, switch clothes, put on different heels. And here I am going to this networking event on my second week on the job. I had just left Goldman. I'm nervous. I walk in the door. My boss is right there. He's, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm here to see my friends. Hi. And then from 5 p.m. until 11 p.m., I probably said hello to 80% of the room, network with so many people. And everyone else is wondering, who is this woman we haven't seen before, but she seems to know everybody. So I was like, wow, this guy, now David, that I met that same day and I invited to this event, this gentleman, goes the next day into my company and says, do you know who you hired to work for you? They're like, yeah, she came from Goldman. And she's going to be president one day. And I started laughing. I'm like, what? Me president? Are you kidding me? I'm like project manager. He's, mark my word, you're going to be a president. I've never seen anyone network so much. And that's when I actually realized that it was like the first time that I really felt what networking was like. And I also realized that I've been doing it for a very long time, but never officially. That felt like the real full experience of meeting people, being recognized, introducing others, and the value that came with it and the satisfaction. And it made me so happy connecting others with others. And it wasn't even necessarily about myself. That was like my first official experience, as I said, with networking in the arena of real estate, even though I was not super experienced in the field. Like you had the Goldman Sachs, the JLL, the CBREs, like big shots were there. And to realize that I actually knew more people than I thought I knew because of my careers and different jobs that I had over the years and how much love and respect everyone had, I was like, I like doing this, but I just never thought it would be like a full-time passion of mine, that regardless of the role that I was going to transition myself, if networking was missing, then I wouldn't take that job. And that's what led me to being then an area director, where in addition to having to manage 20 plus building, over 20 million square foot of space, and having clients, the fact that I would go to so many networking events, especially during the holidays, meet with so many more people, and the way I connected with everyone, it was never about me going to an event and making an ask, hey, this is who I am. May I have business from you because I work for a company? It was, this is Migena. I know the head of the JLL property management. Let me introduce you to my friend. He's also my mentor. See if you guys can work together. Like I never ever asked anyone for anything for myself. And I guess over time, I realized that people love that a lot, because to this day, they always say, you never ask for anything. You never ask for contracts. You take us out, and we would even feel guilty going out with you because we had no business to give you at that time. But with you, it was always about us. Like you just truly cared about us. And I just love people. Like it's my main love, people, because we make the business, we make companies, we make relationships, industries, computers, everything. It doesn't make us. And I continue on a daily basis to learn more about myself through my relationships with others. And I am a work in progress. I do make mistakes, but I always, at the end of each day, I analyze conversations I've had for the day. Did I give the right advice? Like I do an assessment, like a self-assessment when it comes to the conversation I have with others. And when I feel that I had said something that it wasn't necessarily the right thing to say at the moment, I always reach out to the person. Or even if I feel I said the right thing, but it came across as not the right thing, like I always love reaching out again and making sure that person, it's okay, that this is where I come from, and like going above and beyond. It's all about the other person's feelings. So yeah, that's just a little bit of an intro about my networking origin.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I think that's the first time I've heard that story as well. And yeah, it must have been so interesting to be in a room and you just come alive and you realize, I've been alive this whole time. Look at me, like I know all of these people. And by the way, this is my strength. Now I know.
Yes. And I think unless you show up, you will never know what your zone of genius is. So for me, getting that validation that people remembered me, they recognized me, and in addition, they introduced me to other people saying, hey, this is Migena. She does such a great job managing our properties. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And so pretty much it's not just me showing up and working really hard to be known, but it's also me doing my part, showing up, then having all these support systems, all these people now that are working with me, for me, and it spreads that magic. And next time I am in those rooms, oh, I remember you were at so-and-so event. and person said so and so about you, great job, or I liked how you helped this person and you had no idea what they were from or what they were doing, but you just offered immediately without even asking questions. And like I said, nothing is more important to me than building meaningful connections. So even if I were to go in a very huge space with people, I make it a point to connect one-on-one. Even if I spend 2 minutes with a person, like I want to be as present as I possibly can, because yes, especially nowadays when we are in the capital raising and we're looking to maximize on our time and meet as many people as possible, it may feel as if we are more into the quantity versus the quality. I am still a big believer that if I make one meaningful connection, that same one connection could lead me to 1,000 people from that person and their network. So I am not really connecting with one person. Like I am now able to have access to Brooke's connection, Steph's connection, because of how much I care about getting to know you, support you in your journey, whatever that journey may be. And another thing is you would never want to classify people. Oh, are you in this industry? You're in this bracket. Are you in that industry? You're in this bracket. Absolutely not. Are you a person with a good heart, with amazing intentions, who is telling the truth? I'll meet you where you're at, versus you creating these stories and therefore I'm trusting you, and then I'm presenting you to the world with the story you gave me, and now my friend is disappointed, then I lose some of that credibility. So this is why it's very important to have the one-on-one conversations, connections, and then gift Stephanie to the world, Angela to the world. And I always tell that, look, my friends are not cheap. It's very disrespectful to them if I were to just make that introduction without knowing a little bit more about you, because I've made those mistakes in the past. And I believe that the power of networking itself, it's one of the key ingredients, another key ingredients when we like bake relationships, because I had a quote that I came up with where I say generosity is one, but networking, it's just another one. And when others see you in these spaces, that you're working hard, that you are genuine, that you are real and true, others will gravitate towards you. And those are the people that I want to surround myself with. And I call it process of selection. Like I don't eliminate anyone, but I definitely have gotten better at selecting people, because as we get older, time feels more precious and we want to maximize on anything and everything we do in our lives. Because as I said, it's no longer my responsibility for myself, but it's the responsibility for the people in my network, because I could have 500 people that are solely from different industries, but do I really need all 500? Not necessarily, but I do know that in my friends, my family will always need someone that's part of my network, and to have the ability to help, to be a source to others through the power of networking, of connecting, not just connecting, but feed into these connections, nurture these relationships, cultivate them, always give back without asking anything in return. Because the moment someone says, hey, how can I help you? I expect that question to come from someone I met for the first time. But I don't think I would like it very much if Stephanie or Brooke said, hey, how can I help you? You know what I'm up to in the world. You know what I'm doing. You don't come to me and say, how can I help you? You go in the world, do what you do best. And as you come across a friend who's looking for something that you know Migena can provide, then you make that connection without even asking me. And that's how I roll. I don't go and say, hey, Brooke, how can I help you? If I know that Brooke is working on 3 major things, I'm going to work behind the scenes, and I want to be the angel investor, the angel giver, the angel producer for my friends. And I think nowadays when I go to these networking events, and it's crazy, it's, oh, how did you hear about this event, Migena? Who got you that job, Migena? What? And now my nickname in New York is the mayor. So
Oh, you have a new job coming. Better watch out.
I don't like politics. I hate politics. I'm like,
I know when we're capital raising and you go in with your mindset potentially focused on, I need this. It can be difficult to be like, I'm here to serve you. So is there some kind of mindset practice that you have that you do before you have conversations so you can make sure you're going in with your heart and with your presence instead of being so focused on what you need?
I love that question. So I'll give you a perfect example. As many of you, I am a member of Family Offices Club. So it's a club where people from all over the country are either members, investors, like they're from different arenas. And when you are in those spaces, it goes without saying, every single person is there because they need something. They're not there because they have nothing better to do. So what works best is if you have a company name that's eye-catching, that draws attention, and people look at you and they're like, oh, what does do? And I'm like, oh, I'm glad you asked. This is what we do. And I leave it at that. But before that, before I even go to the event, I always try to wear clothes that make me feel confident. That's very crucial. That's very key, because even the most successful person in the world have some insecurity about an area of themselves. Either they don't like their hair. Like today, I'm like, my God, my hair is not behaving. And I feel like a freaking lion. And I'm just like playing with it so much. And it's terrible. It's distracting. So again, wearing the clothes that make me feel right, not necessarily what others would like. And of course, you have to be classy and professional. It's not about fitting in. It is about standing out, because we have 5 hours to make the utmost impact and influence on others, to attract the right people to speak to us, because it's a door opener, it's a conversation opener, it's an icebreaker, especially with ladies. Oh, I like your heels. Like usually this is how I approach the women. Love your makeup, I love your hair. And I really do, and I compliment women all the time. So when I walk into these spaces, I know that everyone is there because they have an ask, and very often many asks. So I really go prepared to never ever share my ask. So what I do that works very well for me is there's always someone in the room that I connected with, and I learned a lot about them. And the moment someone else is standing next to us, because they also come in to introduce themselves, this is what I always do. I don't say, hey, my name is Migena, I do ta. I'm like, hi, my name is Migena. This is Stephanie. She's from Washington. She's an excellent engineer. She's new to the real estate. She's killing it. So all I'm doing is introducing the person I just met, giving a full resume about the other person. And it makes me look like Steph and I were hanging out forever. No one will never know that we just met. Oh, so you guys work together? No, we actually just met. They're like, wow, wait, you just met and you're already like doing this? So at this last event, because I already knew a gentleman named Mike from Texas. He's in the oil industry, like 3rd generation. I know he has an amazing podcast. I have no idea he had this podcast station somewhere in one of the rooms, in these office spaces. The moment he would walk by, as I'm speaking to Brooke or someone else, I would just grab Mike by the arm and say, hey, Mike, meet Brooke. You need to have her on your podcast. She's a powerhouse. So I probably booked 15 podcasts for Mike without even him knowing. And everywhere I would go, say, go to the room, there is a podcast station set up, schedule yourself. This is amazing. And Mike is like, God damn it, I need to hire her. I'm like, no, I just want. And then he's like, do you want to come on my podcast? I'm like, oh, okay. It wasn't like, hey, can I show up on your podcast? And then I walk into that space. I'm like, oh my God, this is like a full-on station with podcasts. So that's how I walk in. It's always about the other people. Like I can't help but connect others. And I don't do it because I'm insecure or that I don't believe in the business that I'm in. But I do feel that if I am giving, the power is then in the receiving, because I'm receiving so much more. And at the same time, I find out if the people that I met are considerate, reciprocate, because in a short amount of time, I am connecting 5 people with one another. And now if they come back around and say, hey, but tell us about you, what do you do? Or let me get your number, and say, hey, thank you so much for making that introduction. And based on those responses in the short term or the long term, then I determine if this person is someone that I align with heart-wise and mind-wise to build on that relationship. Because if I am doing all these things for these people, mostly because it makes me feel good, and it's also to help them, and there isn't a note or a turnaround and say, hey, how can I help you? What are you looking for? Who are you here to meet? Then it's very simple. They're not part of my crew, and it just makes me happy that I made that connection. So this is one way of interviewing people without even them knowing that they're being interviewed.
This is so genius. No, it is, because I was thinking about this, like, okay, I want to help connect people, but I never thought about the second part, because I actually wanted to ask you this question. Like, obviously we can tell by energy if someone's being genuine and authentic with you, but do I really want to work with them? Do they really align with me? How will I find that out? And I never considered, will they reciprocate in a small way? Because if we do something in a small way, then it's more likely that it will be amplified in a bigger way. And yeah, I love that, because I never thought about linking the two. I always saw them as two totally separate things. I love that. Thank you for that advice. What is your tips for being confident while networking?
Oh, confidence. For myself, and for guys, it's different, right? My dad and my brother spend hours in front of a mirror because in hair, it's like moving in the wrong direction. And I don't care. I'm like, I got to have the right heels. So it's different for everyone. What works for me is the fact that I need to have the right clothes that give me that confidence. The moment I walk outside that door and enter that space, I know that Migena is comfortable. So the moment I am comfortable, then I am confident. And most importantly, what brings me also that confidence, it's the fact that I have very low expectations when I enter these spaces. I set myself not for failure, but I underestimate everyone that I will meet in that space. And there's no negative from there, and it's always positive. Okay, I'm going to walk into this space. I will look for the right connections. I will not be selective. I will just go and say hello to everyone, because guess what? You never know who's who. I don't go by the person that wears a suit or the person that has a chic hairstyle to give me that understanding that, oh, these guys look like they're from the family office, they're my future investors. No, I walk in and I usually stop and say hello to people who smile. Like, that's huge for me. That's a different level of communication. I'm walking in, and usually I walk by myself, and there's people who go like this. I don't talk to them. They're not ready. They're not ready to talk to me, so I can't force it. When we walk into these spaces, we have to be ready. There is no room to date. Like, for me, going there, it's not dating. Like, we're already engaged. Like, I'm looking for marriage because I'm already in. It's not, oh, speed dating. No. It's like people smiling at me, men and women. I'm like, hello. And then I'll be like, love your hair. And I'll continue to walk. Oh, thank you so much. I love your dress. 2 minutes later, oh, I remember we said hello in the hallway. So tell me what you do, because I see you're all over the space and you spoke to so and so. I'm like, oh, I'm here to connect. I'm a member. I absolutely love these spaces. I meet quality people, and it's been super, super amazing for myself. And yeah, so the confidence is in the smiling. The confidence is in me because I know that I will never go with the heart of an asking. I never go there to raise $10 million. That's not my intention. My intention is, let me meet with 5 people. Let me learn about what they do. And if one of those people could lead to a potential future partnership, mission accomplished. But then I have 4 others that I connected with that I can bring value to, people like Brooke and Jess, because they may be in different industries. So I always say I walk in these spaces alone, but I walk out together because of the amount of business cards, connections I've made, pictures I'm taking with a note, nice to meet you. And it's not an overnight success. And this is what also gives me that confidence, because I don't walk in and walk out disappointed. And I'm like, oh my God, maybe it was my accent that didn't convince them. And it shows that maybe I don't have the experience because I sound a certain way, or maybe my dress has too many flowers. And if I wore suits, no, I don't think in those terms. I know that what's true for me, it's true for me. And if I'm going there as Migena, connecting with people. They know that eventually I will need something. And I also know that they need something. So it's never a one-way street. So I never feel guilty. And this is why it's very easy for me to pick up that phone and start calling people. It was great seeing you. It was great meeting you. Otherwise, guys, if you feel terrible when someone is reaching out to you after a networking event, don't show up at these events, or don't give out your business cards. Because the moment you're giving out that business card, that's an entry, that's a permission you're giving to the people in the room to reach out to you, and vice versa. So I never say cold calling, I say warm calling to hot calling. It's a crazy calling, whatever you want to make it into. But yeah, the confidence starts with you and it ends together, because I am confident as walking in, but the moment someone else says, oh, I remember Migena, she's actually doing something so much fun about this TV show. I'm like, wow, actually someone remembers what I'm doing. So you bring your own confidence, and then you pair it with the confidence from everyone else who now remembers something about you. And then you build from that, and know that next time that you enter a space, you will continue to make 5 meaningful connections versus 15 average connections. And then you feel like, what a waste of time, money, and energy. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that, because I know I tend to get very excited to meet a lot of new people, especially when you're in a new room. And then by the end of the day, you're like, just want to take a nap.
I don't stop. I say I start networking at 5 a.m. as I'm fixing my hair, the after party and the after party, to networking with the hostess at the restaurant, with the concierge, with the caddies. Like I said, guys, do not be selective. If there is someone in front of you and they're smiling at you, that's an indication that they are welcoming this greeting. Take advantage. If there are no opportunities, create the opportunities. If there is someone in the room that you know you need to speak with because you are going to bring value to that organization, but you don't feel like you want to approach them alone, go to someone else in the room that knows them and knows you and say, I would like for you to make an introduction. Or even better, what I do is I always go to my mentor and say, hey, I would like to meet that person, and you know them. What's the best approach? Do you think that person appreciates someone approach them directly? Or do they prefer that someone else makes that introduction for credibility? Because sometimes there's certain people that you only may have one chance to make that first strong impression. So you need to read the room, you need to read yourself. And if you are not okay yourself, if you are in that networking space and you're not feeling 100% because you've had a bad morning, breathe and don't start to engage, please, because people pick up on that. Go sit down and make some phone calls, pretend to be busy, and then talk yourself, sell yourself into getting into that mood, because I have those moments all the time, but I don't show them. So then this mentor of mine or Brooke or someone else says, you know what, they appreciate more if you just go directly without that outside pressure, so they don't feel like now they have to help you and talk to you because Brooke made the connection. Because that's what we want at the end of the day. We don't want anything forced. We don't want people to feel obligated to connect with us, because I don't want people to see me as a favor. Like, I'm no one's favor, and vice versa. It's not. Like I said, we're all there because we all serving a purpose and we're fulfilling a need. And I also tell myself, hey, they will be missing out if they didn't meet me because they don't know who I know. So I could be of value, but don't be arrogant about it. Be silly and charismatic about it. And yes, I sometimes do ask my mentors when I am looking to meet, for example, someone very high up that also has that unapproachable energy. So it's very difficult to read. And that works out very well. And also it gives my mentor that sense of importance. Wow, she's actually asking for advice from me. I feel important now and I'm doing something for Migena. Yes, let me make that introduction for you, Migena. So there's ways to work a room.
Yeah, I'm noticing your whole networking strategy is honestly, it's all about other people feeling important. Like, how can I make this person feel important and connect them with somebody that brings value? And then how, in the meantime, can I make them feel important and bring them value? And that's just this big circle of love.
Yes. Oh my God, for sure. For sure.
How do you always keep up that high energy? I know you say you have those moments where you're like, okay, don't show it. I can't present myself right this moment. But how do you keep yourself uplifted?
It's okay. When I'm in my own, this is not nice that I'm going to say this about myself because it starts with me. But when I am with just myself around the house, running errands and being on calls, I am very cranky. I am moody. I know, right? Hard to believe. The moment I dial that number to make that phone call, I shift, like it's like a light switch. I'm like, okay, game on. And then I hear the person's voice. And regardless, what I do is I match that tone. And as I match that tone, the goal is to always to increase the tone. And for me, it's very important that there's always a joke in the conversation. There's always something that will make the other person smile or laugh. And then if I feed off of it, like I feed off the other person's energy that I just recreated. And again, I had no idea about this energy thing. I was born and raised in a different country, and we don't talk energy, we don't talk manifestation, we don't talk network, like none of this stuff. And then I come to this country and people were like, oh my God, your energy and this and that. I'd be like, yeah, whatever. And then people say, when we think of you, the first word that comes to mind is energy or is magnet or glue. These are some of the main adjectives I hear as me being described by. But when it comes to the energy, this is how I shift myself from not having a good morning to having a great morning, because now it's no longer about me. It's about the other person. They don't need to hear my grumpiness. I am making that phone call, and the goal is to make that other person's minute that we are spending together on the line better. And why? Because I do know how it feels to be called and have someone lift me up. And because I know those feelings so well and I can relate, then I am responsible now, and I do it without even thinking about it, that it's my mission to get every single call, make someone smile. Even with the Citibank that is driving me crazy. I was on the phone with him for 3 hours the other day, 3 hours. And I told him, I'm going to divorce you after I finish this, and don't ask me for explanations. And the lady goes, whoops. And then I caught myself saying that. I'm like, all right, what did I just say? I said, I was just kidding. And I said, oh my God, thank God. So it's just, I would say something, but it's no one's fault. Don't pick up the phone. Don't call somebody if you're not in that energy. But like for me, it's people, because I know that I get so excited saying, oh my God, so you were born in a different country? Oh, do you want to be booked because because it did this for me? And I start oversharing, and people are like, my God, I'm going to faint right now. She overwhelms me. But at the end of the day, I also lift myself up in the process. So people think it's about them that's being lifted up. But as I am having an awesome conversation or a funny conversation, like with Brooke, like we would get into serious conversations, but sometimes we would throw a joke here and there and we would crack up. And it's like the energy is like this. But as long as the energy is not below zero, then I'm good. But again, catch yourself, like be aware, but always catch yourself and be present. And if you're present and you love good energy, I guarantee you will give it back. But if you're not aware that it's happening and you're not even giving it to yourself, you cannot even give it to others. So I'm talking to you right now and I'm all lit up. Before I was like, oh my God, like my eyelashes are not showing, like I was just being crazy before. But yeah, so energy, it's huge. And it's a feeling that you cannot even explain. You feel closer to certain people, not as much as to others. And you cannot even explain why that is. That I don't have an answer to. I don't study energy. I just go by my gut feeling. And I know by the fact that all of us, regardless of accents, bank accounts, heart accounts, we all need love. We all need support. We all are here because we are looking for something that is missing in our life. And when I go into these networking events, I don't go there because I'm going to meet the real estate, the medical, the ta-ta-ta. No, I will not go to the Grant Cardone event. And I even said it earlier today on Clubhouse because of the speakers. That event is sold out. We don't even know who the speakers are. And I could care less. I don't go for the speakers because we have them on YouTube, LinkedIn, I don't know, Instagram, like podcasts. I have access to them at any time. I go to these events because I know that others like myself will pick themselves up and drop them in Vegas. So I want to meet those people. I'm very curious about who else is going to be there. Who else can I connect with? Who else can I collaborate with? And always bring in value. And that's why access to people and proximity to people, right? That's the biggest investment. And then it comes back to you. The fact that you walked into that restaurant, into that virtual space, and people say, yay, Migena, I'm paid for a century. I'm full, I'm wealthy. Like I'm so wealthy. And I said that when I started my career, I would go from paycheck to a higher paycheck and work harder and work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, because money was never enough in New York City. And last year that I started my own company and I began the real estate journey on the multifamily, I resigned my job when I attended Grant Cardone's Real Estate Summit. I went into this journey like the Alchemist movie, only to find out that treasure always existed. We go in search of this treasure, only to find out that we already have these treasures, but we have to go and meet others along the way to realize how blessed we are. And I'm like, I'm used to making good money coming in on a weekly basis because I went and I worked for this company. Last year, there was no income coming in. There was savings being invested out into A, B, C, D, E thing that I was taking calculated risks with. And I've never felt wealthier. This is the year that I felt the wealthiest because I had 1,000 people on my cell phone as contacts. If I show you right now, I have 3,500, which is not a huge number because people have 30,000. But those 3,500, I actually know. Like I personally know them. They're not just numbers, right? They're people. So yeah, that's where I guess that energy comes from. Like when I start sharing what I think it's important, and it may not necessarily be important for the other person. And I don't worry about that because if I start to calculate who is going to get upset, how much value did I give? Maybe no, I give what I have, not what I think I know, not what I think will be a good idea. I only speak from my heart and say, look, this is what I can give you right now. I can connect you to the 5 people I connected with. I think there is a great opportunity for you guys to collaborate. And they're like, well, what about you? I said, everyone is being tested. I don't ask for anything. You know what to do. I said, because the moment I come to you and I ask for something, there's no relationship. You need to know what's needed. So my friends never say, hey, Migena, but I need, no, I know exactly what's needed for my friends. And I give upfront, like upfront payments. Let me pay 3 months ahead of mortgage or five 6 months into the future. And I think that's also where that energy comes in, because you're also coming into these conversations with that confidence. You're not in front of a person who thinks of you as an opportunistic, as someone who's there for themselves. And I promise you guys, regardless of where you're from, you can always make a difference in the other person's life. You just have to make that decision that it's not about you, it's about all of us. It's not like someone mentioned it, the power of I versus the power of we. Once we say we together, can do so much more. That's what gives me also that confidence, because guess what? When someone is asking me, hey, Migena, I'm looking for a brain surgeon at Montefiore. I know you live in the Bronx. I'm like, I got you, Dr. David. I was a hostess 20 years ago, and Dr. David and his wife would dine at the diner every day. And they would take me out to dinner along with 3 other couples that were in their 70s. And I was the only, whatever age I was at that time. And when my mom would end up in the emergency room, no one would take care of us, but I would text Dr. David and he would be in Mexico. 2 minutes later, I had 30 doctors at my head. They're like, oh my God, this is Dr. David's niece. And Dr. David is Jewish, I'm Albanian. That's the power of community. And that's what I need. And I can do it alone. And what gives me the confidence and the energy is the fact that when I meet a person across the street who needs something, I know that I am not the person that will answer all of those questions and needs, but I have 3,000 numbers on my phone. And I guarantee you there's 5 that will pick up, either help with fundraising, be a doctor, be a surgeon, be a brand marketing in Dubai that I connected with. I connected with a guy who has the best honey, Manuka honey from New Zealand, but based out of Japan. And how did I connect? I'm like, oh my God, you're in Japan? There is this other guy who lives in Japan. I never met him, but you guys should meet. Oh, okay. Hey, Mickey, meet Raymond. Wait, did you meet Mickey before? No. Oh, okay. I'm like, do I need to meet Mickey? I know enough about Mickey. You guys go ahead. Now, I know that I'm going to go to Japan. I have 2 friends. I want to have friends in every city.
That sounds just fun, honestly.
Right?
I love what you said earlier. You don't have to worry about how everyone's going to perceive what you're taking. There's no should. There's no shoulding on yourself about what you're saying or how you'll be perceived. As long as you're coming from your heart and you're giving, that's all that matters. And I love that, because I know we can have such a big heart and want to give so much, and still it can come across wrong to somebody. And you thought you said all the right things, but it could be that you said something a little off for them, but it was still genuine. And it's not my responsibility to own that should. I can own my part of the communication and maybe how it came across, but it's not my responsibility to own the should. So I love that.
Yeah, we all do. There's nothing forced. And guys, oh my God, I don't even know where to begin, especially with my friends who I met from December, like all my real estate family, my Grant Cardone family, from Angela to Sean Thomas, to Jesse, to Alex, to Brooke and Stephanie, so many other names, some of the newer ones, Mike Bailey, of course, Mary and Nick. It's, oh my God, there is so much heart. There is so much heart in that room. Jessica, Dax, like Dax would talk to these other guys, letting them know our experiences because we want to change lives. And none of us even works for Grant Cardone at that point. We're just like, hey, open your eyes, because we wish we had someone like us 10 years ago, 20 years ago, shake them like we're shaking them, because we feel responsible for everyone in that community. And like, where do I begin? Like, I have the utmost love, respect, admiration for every single person that I've met at the Grant Cardones. And in all honesty, like, I do a lot of savings because I miss my friends. I go to these events not to listen to Grant anymore, because as we all may agree, Grant says a lot of the same things. And then he adds on based on the market shift and change. Like, you say, hey, I didn't say this 6 months ago, but I am saying it now. And it's expected, because at every summit, there will be new people coming in So we have to start with what everybody else know and add on. But I go because I know I will network with all my friends that I haven't seen in 3, 4, 5 months. So it's very important, guys, to make a promise to yourself that if you want to continue to feel rich, to have a full heart, if you can go in person, have consistency in the Zooms like we're doing right now. We're building community, we're getting to know one another, and I cannot wait to learn more about you all and to continue to show up as we progress in our lives, to have the quarterly interview. Hey, where you are right now, 3 months ago you were here, tell us what's going on, and keep that. And if you can make it a point that once a year to meet at that event, maximizing everything and continue to pour into one another and to continue to building on those relationships, it's magical because we need each other. We don't need the buildings. I always say to a lot of my friends, I'd rather be an LP with the right team than a GP with the wrong team, because this is a marriage that we cannot divorce for the next 5 to 7 years. And all the money in the world will not make our hearts feel right if we are in bad partnerships and relationships. And this is why it's very crucial that when we show up as ourselves, so the person that's meeting us knows exactly what to get and what to work with, and vice versa. Don't be someone you're not. If you don't have any deals, say you don't have any deals. What's the big deal? I had 0 deals. So what? But I'm Migena. People need to know who Migena is, not how many units Migena has. Now, 3 years from now, if I show up and I still have 0 units, it's your responsibility as a unit to come to me and say, hello, wake up. What are you doing? Hold me accountable. But at first, we all are in this journey of rediscovery. And I am excited every morning because I get to learn about myself every day through the experiences that I have through a phone call or receiving a business opportunity from the people I expected it the least. And that's, again, the power of networking. It's magical. Have low expectations. And the biggest disappointment will come from you, never from anyone else, because you are in control of everything. And that's control of your energy, control of who you connect, control of who and where and how, and all of this, how to show up, where to show up, what to do. It's all up to you. You're in charge. And as long as you know that you are in control, everything else will be okay. But if you allow yourself to be played with and pushed around, and you allow these reactive voices to say, I've been 2 years in the real estate investment, I've only been a LP in 2 deals. Trust the process, everything in divine timing. I promise you, 3 years later, something amazing is going to happen to you. You'll be like, it's not going to be like, it's going to be, okay, cool. Because it happened to me. I think that's something that works for me, but again, it works for me. It doesn't necessarily mean that it will work for everyone else. You adjust according to your heart, and the rest will follow.
I love it. You definitely have to come back. I know you have so many more nuggets.
Thanks for watching Ladies Night with me, Steph Doblosky. I create wealthier women by providing exclusive access to private equity commercial real estate investments. If you're interested, check out my contact details in the description below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.